We got into wolves 11 years ago for the filming and photography purposes, and this is Casey's gig. This is what he's always wanted to do.
We've done a little bit of movie work, you know, a few documentaries, but basically I don't pursue Hollywood. We're now more into the educational aspect.
The facility, we offer different levels of programs to the public. For one, the general visit teaches people all about wolves. People can come in for admission fees and take part in a 25-minute interpretive program. So they're learning about the adaptation of wolves, they're learning about the conservation of the wolf, they're learning all the facts and things that they would ever want to know about a wolf and the purpose that they play for us in our forest. Our goal is to try to spread our mission as far as possible, and teaching the young is the key.
Caribou, sure. Moose. Canada's supposed to have the second highest wolf population left in the world, second to Russia. But the density in the Central Rockies is among the lowest in the world. And only 5% of them are dying of natural causes. 95% is human impact.
You know, we all know the talk and what we want to talk about. Basically, we don't get too scientific, but we just try to tell people how the wolf works in the environment as a whole. And we use Yellowstone and Banff National Parks as examples.
The whole facility is based on conservation. We're taking other people's facts and knowledge and getting it out into the public. A lot of times it's very hard to get information from the government, and a lot of people don't understand the role that the wolf plays and the need that it is in our forests.
They are doing more for advocacy and getting the information out there than anywhere else around the country.
When they were puppies, you know, like we've had all of them since they were 5 or 6 weeks old, but Wiley we got when he was 9 days old. So who else is he gonna follow? Us, right? I mean, he's 9 days old. But the other ones, Tuck and Maya, for instance, got them at 6 weeks. It took 3 months before they really felt comfortable around us. It took a long time for them to learn to trust us. Wolves are very shy and elusive and very submissive animals. They're not aggressive like people think. They're the exact opposite. And so that was the hardest part about walking with them, is they just had to trust us. I had to gain their trust. Once I had that, it was easy. Where wolves, you know, we are part of the pack, and so there's social bonding. And I think that's part of it. You know, I didn't mean for it to happen, but really I think this is the only place in the world that the general public can just go for a walk with a wolf in its natural habitat without a leash on it or any fences. The wolf is basically entirely free.
We are in full and complete wolf terms. It's not going to be our choices of what's going to happen. It's going to be all up to Maya. So first and foremost, we're not going to her. She's coming to us.
Well, for a few decades at least, different small groups, just like ours here at the Wolf Center, have been advocating towards wolf conservation, trying to get public the message that wolves are not protected in this country, that they are treated as vermin. Hunting regulations are very lax, but even so, the biggest threat to wolves and most wildlife is still habitat fragmentation and loss. So the goal of the coalition really is to get all of those different small organizations working together, not only wolf conservation groups, but any conservation-oriented group, as well as hunters, trappers, ranchers, recreationists, First Nations, scientists, activists. We've all got to really work on the same thing together, which at this point is habitat protection. If you look at Yoho or Kootenay National Parks, only about 1/4 of those valley bottoms are actually suitable to prey. So that really limits the availability of wolves to move around and spread out. The average pack territory range, for a pack in Kootenay, and that could be usually 5 to 9 wolves, is about 2,500 square kilometers. Our primary goal for the coalition right now is to establish buffer zones around the national parks here in the Central Rockies. So the buffer zones requested would be 200 kilometers periphery around each national park in the Central Rockies, where you cannot hunt, bait, trap, chase, poison, or kill wolves. With the national parks, we're asking to limit the use of recreational motorized vehicles. So no sleds, no quads, no ATVs. The last thing that we are asking within the buffer zones is to restrict any major recreational development or resource extraction. If we are going to continue with those practices, then at the very least we need to enforce more strict land stewardship policies. So deactivating roads when they're no longer in use, completely excavating one site before we open up another one. There certainly are better ways that we can be responsible towards the land that we are sharing with the wildlife in the national parks and around them. It's one of the last places left in the world where we are able to do that. There's a healthy wild wolf population left in this country with varying genetics and the habitat to still support them. But if that's going to be something that is going to be a part of our future, we need to plan for that and we need to manage for that. We're either going to be the most vilified in history as having wasted what has taken nature millennia to perfect in top predators, or having finally come to our senses to set the land aside so that we can coexist. There certainly is a moral and ethical issue, but intelligence is teaching us we need biodiversity if we want clean air, clean water, and food to eat. So the coalition and the buffer zones are all for wolves, but in protecting wolves, we're also aiming to protect all of wildlife and the biodiversity in Canada as well.
You know, going to get probably 25,000 people here this year that we're creating awareness, and you know, I think we are changing people's minds, so yeah, it's been a good thing.